What's going on? It's been a minute since I've dropped one of these trainings, and if you like them, please let me know because I love doing these types of trainings, and I'm super excited to release this one today. I learned this my freshman year of college, and I'm beyond excited to share it today because it legit changed my freshman year. It went from dumpster fire to ending on a really, really high note. And it was simply by applying this strategy that I learned today. So, without further ado, let's dive in to the power of visualization. All right, so let's dive into visualization. By far, one of the most important pieces of the mental game, and arguably the most talked about, is how to properly visualize. So, wanted to dive in today and really talk about something that took my freshman year in particular, which you'll hear more about, from basically zero to hero. So, let's dive in on what visualization really is and just get straight into it. Okay. So, visualization is the art of creating vivid mental images or scenarios related to your sport. So, for example, I would be taking a PK, a QB would be in the pocket, or a basketball player at the free throw line. Honestly, any piece of your game that you are visualizing and picturing and preparing for those moments, right? So, as a striker in soccer, I'm not going to visualize playing a goalkeeper, right? Because that's irrelevant to my game, right? So I'm going to picture me in and around the box, me scoring goals, me taking free kicks, etc. Anything that involves my piece of the game and something that I will be doing a lot, right? That was one piece of the visualization strategy that we have is we want you to visualize things that happen a lot, right? Not something that's crazy. So for example, I'm not going to have a soccer player visualize a bicycle kick. That might happen once in your life. So why would we visualize something and be prepared for that? No, we're going to visualize making simple plays, making runs into the box, scoring goals from inside the box, right? Things that are relevant to your game that you do all the time that you can do even more and feel more confidence through that. Okay. So I have this little picture here, and visualization is kind of the bridge between the mental aspect and the physical aspect. And that's exactly what we're doing by training our way of picturing the game so that it feels so real that it's like you just did it 10 times for real, for real. Okay? So our goal is to make sure that you are just doing this over and over and over again so that you gain more confidence without actually having to do the act in a game. So that when that moment comes around in the game, you've actually already done it 20, 30, 40, 50 times and you feel confident and you don't feel all that pressure around that act. So, and it just often happens automatically, right? So when I talk about I want you to think so much before the game so that you don't have to think at all, this is what I'm talking about. Is I want you to do these things over and over and over again in your head so that when these situations arise in a game, you don't need to think about it. It just happens, right? You already know exactly what you're going to do, so you just do it and everything flows nice and easy. Okay? So, why visualization? I like I said, this is very very important to me because my freshman year was a roller coaster. Freshman year at Spring Arbor, and I went from hero to zero to hero, all in one season. So first two games, I scored a goal. My very first game ever, I scored the game winner against the top 5 team in the country. The next day, because we had two games that weekend before we went on to travel as a preseason. Okay. Very next day, we beat this team 4-0. I had the fourth goal. I walked away from that weekend like, man, maybe college soccer isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, right? Like this is easy, and I'm scoring goals. Like it's light work. Okay, 2 goals, 2 games. I was on fire. Clearly, I overestimated my ability, or I underestimated the challenge that college sports was. I didn't score for basically the entirety of that season until the very final game of that season. It was our final regular season game. And if we won, I guess it would have been our second to last regular season game. If we won this game, we would have clinched the title. And Leading up to this game, I was like obviously distraught. Hadn't scored in almost 20 games. It had been a very tough season. I was just miserable, right? I wasn't used to or ready for that challenge. And I went to my coach's office and said, "Hey, some of these older guys are doing this. I kind of want to know what it is. Can you kind of explain to me what's going on? Like how they do it? Like what is it? What is visualization?" Coach explained it to me, and he kind of taught me about it. Wrote up my visualization statements, which we'll talk about later. And that entire week leading up to that game, I went over and again these statements over and over and over again. I had spent probably an hour, hour and a half every night visualizing leading up to that game. And sure enough, game day rolls around. I was on the bench, and not 2 or 3 minutes into the game, one of our best players and the player that I usually sub on for got injured real quick. Like it was like the first corner of the game, he went down with an injury, had to go on. And for whatever reason, and I think largely due to visualization, I felt so confident. I was playing. I played arguably to this day the best college match that I've ever played. Everything that I did was honestly perfect. I didn't really make any mistakes. And I was just flowing with confidence. Later on in the game, there was probably about 15, 20 minutes left. And we were up 2-1 at the time. And sure enough, one of the statements that I had been visualizing over and over and over again came to life right in front of my eyes. Everything was happening. I did the exact movement. I flung it out wide, and our left winger was driving down the side of the field. And I knew, okay, I got to make a near post run. Like, this is like, I visualized this 100 times leading up to this. I know exactly what to do. So I faked the other way, went near post, guy crossed it in. I had a diving header, scored near post. Picture perfect, exactly what my visualization statement was. Well, this statement wasn't exactly a diving header, but it was finishing near post. And everything, like, it was the easiest thing ever. Didn't have to think about what I was doing. It just happened. And we ended up winning that game 3-1 and clinched the regular season title. And from that day, I have been a huge believer of visualization. It's been a huge piece to my personal life, my athletic career, and even now in my business professional life. Visualization is a huge piece, I think, to success, and why I wanted to share and talk about it today. Because point number 2 of why is it has physiological effects on the body, right? And studies suggest that the brain can't distinguish between a dream and reality. That's why a lot of times when we wake up from a dream, we're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was a dream until I woke up, right? It feels so real to us. And proper visualization can tap into that. And your brain will start to understand and know as if it's a real thing. And that's why I said if you do it 100 times in your head visualizing, it's like doing it 100 times on the actual field. Really cool. And that's why visualization is so, so important and why we're going to dive deep into it today. So, how? This is like we're getting straight into it. Okay. How? You'll need to create 3 to 5 visualization statements. And here's actually an example of what I did with one of our clients. We're going to call her A. Don't really want to release names. But left winger has the ball in the final third. A is attacking full speed towards the PK spot. The winger cuts the ball back, and A finishes one touch near post to score. This is obviously for one of our soccer players. Very specific, right? You can visualize it once you go through all the steps that we'll talk about in the rules. You can start to really bring this little scenario to life, but this is essentially your guideline. So we're going to create visualization statements. You will create visualization statements, and they need to be specific like this, right? So you can picture exactly what's going on. But like I said, we have 4 rules you need to follow. So let's break them down, okay? Rule number 1, it needs to be a quiet space, okay? I don't want any distractions going on because this is training. This is hard, right? This isn't easy. And especially as you start it, it's not easy, right? It's really, really hard until you get used to it and you start to understand it a little bit more. But that's why we want a quiet, private space. Don't want any distractions. Can't have that. Okay, so if you have a walk-in closet, like go there, right? Like, is it dark? Great. Is it a private room? Is it a tree house? If you have one in your backyard, like just a quiet space that's just you and you alone that you can visualize properly. Okay. And once we find that space, we want to practice breathing to kind of calm and relax our mind, right? I have 3 different examples of box deep and 4-7-8 breathing, right? Box breathing is 4 seconds. So 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold again. So just like a box. Deep breathing, just deep breaths, right? In through the nose, out through the mouth, as slow and deep as possible. And then 4-7-8 breathing. Again, inhale for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. Okay, and then you just kind of do that for probably 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes until you feel nice and relaxed and calm and focused on the task at hand. But rule number 1, quiet, private place, and then practice your breathing just to get into a calm mindset. Okay. Number 2, now there's actually 2 versions of visualization that we talk about. This is, I guess, the original visualization. The other version is negative visualization, which I might do a video on as well. But for this point, we're just going to go positive visualization is what we're going to call it today. And for this one, it's excellent execution. Okay. No mess ups. I want you to be perfect. And this is probably the only time I will actually tell you to be perfect. Okay. So, like I said, you're going to create 3 to 5 visualization statements. In each one, you're going to perform 10 times. Okay. Each statement you're going to perform 10 times, and they have to be 10 times perfect. Right. It's very easy to screw up inside your head, which is wild. I know, but we've asked players, groups, and teams when we do group coaching, like, hey, I want you to visualize this statement. And then we go around, how many people missed? So many hands get raised, right? So we want this to be excellent. No mistakes, which is rare in a game, but will fuel your confidence to be able to succeed and know that you've done this plenty of times in the past. So rule number 2, only excellent execution. And a little sub rule, you mess up, you start over. You get to number 8 and you screw up, right back to number 1. You got to start over. I want 10 in a row that are successful. I don't want any mistakes. This is the only time that you are going to be perfect, so we're going to get it perfect. Okay? That's rule number 2. Rule number 3, this one's the most in-depth one, okay, is I want you to engage all of your senses. Okay? And we'll dive deep into what each one is, but all 5 of your senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. This visualization is you going into essentially a different reality, an alternate reality. And in order to make it as real as possible, you need to engage all 5 of these senses. Now, some are more important than others, and obviously some are harder to do than others, but all of them are important. And I want you to take time to address each one of them when you're doing your visualization statements. And at this point in the video, you're probably like, this seems kind of hard. Yeah, you're right. It's training. This is difficult. This takes time. This takes effort, right? If it were easy, everyone would do it and everyone would be really, really good, right? But in order to be a high-level athlete, you have to do things that other people aren't willing to do. And honestly, 99% of athletes aren't willing to do visualization, and it shows. Professionals, they do it all the time. They work with psychologists, they work with trainers to do proper visualization, and they do it for a reason, and they're professionals for a reason. So let's dive in. Rule number 3 again. So sight, number 1, obviously you need to see, right? You need to visualize the playing environment, the court, the strategic plays, whatever you see, the jersey, right? If your team colors are blue and white and your main jersey is blue, then I want you to picture, if that's the jersey you're going to be wearing on game day, I want you to picture you wearing that jersey, right? I want you to see that. I want you to see the fans. I want you to see the coaches, the teammates, the opponents. I want you to see everything. Really put yourself in that environment, right? This is really, really important. Number 2 is sound. Again, another really, really important one. I want you to hear the crowd, hear the coach, hear the fans, hear your teammates, hear the things that are going on, right? If you're playing football, hear the sound of the pads hitting, team players hitting each other, right? If you're playing soccer, the sound of the ball hitting your foot or hitting the post, whatever it is, I want you to hear all these sounds, okay? So by far, right off the bat, those two are the most important ones. Sight is pretty much a given, but sound, a lot of people don't add that in, and I want you to add that in. It's so, so, so important to really immerse yourself in that environment by adding the sound and all that, those sensory, just everything that goes on with hearing. I need you to add that in. Okay. Number 3 is smell. Okay. Your nose is so strong. Like you can smell a scent and immediately be brought back to something 7-8 years ago. Right. And that's why we want to use it. Okay. We want to smell, the locker room, you getting prepared before game time. If it's an early morning Saturday tournament game away and there's dew on the field, like, yeah, that has a specific smell. I want you to picture that. I want you to really immerse yourself in that scent. Okay. Number 4, touch. Again, the feel of the jersey, the shoes, the ball, the track underneath your feet. If you swim, I want you to feel the water, right? Whatever it is, I want you to be able to touch and feel that side of things. Okay. And number 5 is taste. There's really only 2 things that you can taste: water and sweat. Okay. Water, sweat, saliva, like those things, like embrace that. Little less important is taste. So I'll put a little asterisk next to that one. But definitely all 5 of these are so important. In order to create this alternate reality, this extra environment, you have to be able to involve all 5 of your senses. So dive deep into these. Take extra time, 5-10 minutes, to really embrace these 5 senses and dive into it. Okay? That is rule number 3. Rule number 4, success. Enjoy the moment. Celebrate. You score, celebrate that. Okay? I want you to feel the success of the moment. Okay? Everything that you do, right, leads up to that success. Okay? So embrace it, enjoy it. I know, as you can see by this photo, that's me my senior year of college after celebrating scoring a goal in overtime. And at that point, it was golden goal. So once I scored, it was game over. The game was done. Okay. Our team was notorious for celebrating. We got in trouble a lot for celebrating. But to us, it meant all the hard work that we've spent, not just that season, but all those years of individual and personal training led up to that moment. And we weren't going to take it for granted. Right? Whether it was me or one of my teammates, we were going to celebrate like we just won a world title. Okay? It was important to us because that showed that like our work is paying off. Like we deserve that. We worked for that moment, so enjoy it. Okay? I want you to do the exact same thing. When you're successful in your visualization, I want you to see the success, see the celebration. That's a huge piece to it. It brings joy, right? Savor that feeling, right? Like enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, why would you want to do it again? But if you enjoy it like crazy and you love it and it's just memorable, do it, right? Like see it, picture it, embrace it. So think about your go-to celebration. Think about your go-to celly. What do you do after you score, after you get a touchdown, after you score a basket, after you win a race? Like, what's your celebration? Enjoy it, okay? Dive deep into that. So those are the 4 rules to visualization, okay? 3 to 5 visualization statements that you need to create, and they need to be specific. So if I'm you, I'm going back to the example that I gave, kind of write something similar for you in your sport. If you need help, then I'm going to attach our calendar link and jump on a call with us, and we'll help you create these visualization statements, okay? Number 2, quiet private space. Really, really important. Find a place that you won't get distracted easily from. Okay. Number 3, excellent execution. No failure is allowed here for visualization. I want you to be perfect. Okay. This is the only time I want you to be perfect. And the only time you probably will be perfect is when you're doing visualization. Okay. Number 4, engage all your senses. Super important, especially sight and sound and touch. I think those are the 3 biggest ones. So embrace those 3, as well as add the other 2, smell and taste. Okay. And number 5, celebrate. Enjoy yourself. Okay. This is so, so important. Okay. Enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, then what's the point? Enjoy what you're doing, celebrate it. Okay. And for your help, I've attached a little cheat sheet for you to kind of fill out all of these different things, for you to create a visualization kind of masterpiece. So whenever you visualize, just take your cheat sheet and you'll be good to go. Okay. So thank you for joining this training. I tried to make it as quick and short, as sweet as possible. Obviously, we could dive way deeper into this. So if you want to dive deeper into visualization, you want to work with us, then hit the link that is our calendar link. Get on our calendar, schedule a call with me, and we will kind of break down even further what this looks like and what training your mental game really, really looks like for you and your career. So without further ado, good luck on visualization. Again, download your cheat sheet, book a call with us to learn more, and I will see you guys next time.